Java is a object-oriented programming language, okay, which will allow you to frame your programs based on real-world entities, like relating your program with your users. Depending upon the demand of your user or the type of users will be there, we try to develop all those kinds of programs or softwares.
Yeah.
Will be user friendly. Moreover, user friendly and compatible and ability to have dependencies like user dependencies. So it will be with Java we can create all those user friendly programs. So when we talk in terms of object-oriented programming, okay, so I'll just share my screen. I just have writing along with. Okay. So when we come across what is object-oriented programming language, actually Java was developed by James Consley, right? At that time, it was original name was Oak when he developed it, and then after some time, it got changed and became as Java. Right? So
yeah,
the main reason for Java being so friendly is because of its object-oriented concept. It is also your bottom-to-top approach.
okay, one sec. I'm opening a notepad.
Okay, sure. I would share all these things to you.
Oh, you will?
Yeah, all these things what I am typing and your programs that we will be going through, everything will be shared to you on your email ID. In this recording also. So I'm recording this session also. So each and every details will be given to you by the end. Yeah, maybe it will take some time to process that. Yes, but before the day ends, you'll receive all these things. Okay. So it is a bottom to top approach. That means there is no predefined procedure. Like it is not compulsory to mention your methods at the means on the top of your class, okay, and you don't have to predefine them. As in, when you want, you can declare your own functions and you can use them, right? So why it is exactly bottom to top approach? Over here we are mentioning our main function at the end. Most often we mention the main function, right, at the end of your class. So it is why first we initialize all the functions that are user defined, and based on those user defined functions we are able to call those functions inside our main function. So eventually what happens is first main function gets executed, and later on all those functions, other functions like what are your user defined functions, your static variables, all those things get executed, right? So that is why we term it as a bottom to top approach, and it is not a procedural approach because there is no set defined procedure. Like it is not necessary that main function will be at the end. It can be in between also, but why always main function gets executed at first is because of your public, static, void, all those terms that you write in your main function. If you mention yeah. Anything?
Oh, so like classes?
So within the classes, you'll have main function, right? Within the class, only when you will be executing your whole program, your program will first get compiled and it will get converted into your bytecode, right? And when once your bytecode is converted and you go on to the run option, that run option will allow you to convert that bytecode into your machine understandable code. That is like virtually it happens. It does not get converted, but yes, it happens virtually because of your JVM present inside, right? So this is why, and wherever you'll have main function written inside your program or inside your class, first of all your main function will get executed because it is of static type, right? And it is your main. That means it is a predefined function which you are calling or which you are using as per your requirement. Name of the main function is predefined inside your Java. So whenever you are executing your program, right, if main function is not there, you won't be able to display your result on your console or any different area, right? Or even on your command prompt, CMDs. Get this? So that is why we say Java is a bottom to top approach, right? Then Java is not a procedural language. Now, if I come to what is exactly object-oriented programming, I have to mention 5 basic concepts for that.
Okay.
Now, what are those concepts? First, we say abstraction. Second is your encapsulation.
They need to do revalidated.
Third is your modularity.
Magic will do the revalidation automatically because we
And
don't have
fourth is your inheritance. Fifth is your polymorphism. So when we compile all these things, okay, when we club up all these things inside a program, it's like we are completely using core part of Java inside a program. Okay, it is not necessary that all these 5 things need to be present inside your program, but yes, definitely encapsulation and abstraction is always there, because first of all you will be identifying what are the different members you will be requiring. Okay, like what is your variable you will be requiring, what are your methods that you will be requiring. So when you are understanding the requirement of your program, okay, you say you are abstracting your various variables and methods. So that process is termed as abstraction. And there is another meaning for this. Abstraction also means you are hiding your variables, methods that you will be using in your future, okay, for building up a project. You're hiding that particular in core elements of your program from the outside world, okay, from the other users.
I don't understand.
It is like when we mention things inside our class, right? Inside a class, we are going to mention main function, variable names, different, right? And those we will be using it. But when you say you are trying to abstract these things, that means you are first understanding the requirement of your program. Like if I have to add 2 numbers, right? So for adding 2 numbers, what is the basic requirement for this? Definitely I will require 2 numbers or 2 variables, right? To hold 2 values, that is 2 numeric values inside it, right? So that is your requirement. And when you club them up inside a class, right? When you keep them inside your class, you term it as your encapsulation part. That means you're going to wrap them up together.
No, I know, but for abstraction, is it hiding the variable?
Yeah, that is a part when you say you will be creating like in further movement. Okay, when we go more ahead, abstraction will be also dealt as a concept for hiding your data. Hiding the data in sense when you create abstract classes or interfaces. Interfaces and abstract classes, they will allow you to create variables and functions which you will not be eventually using inside that particular class. But yes, you can use those properties in different other classes. So it becomes like you cannot manipulate your data inside your abstract classes. Or you can say the main class, okay, like the header class. But you can use all the properties in different other classes, and you will not be manipulating exactly that particular data, but all those properties will come inside your rest of the classes. Okay,
But why would you need to hide the data? Like, why would you need to hide the variable?
Because if a user, and like if there is a hacker, okay, if there is a person who has some creepy mind, he wants to do something like wrong activities, right? For that we need to hide our data to make more secure programs. When we talk in terms of small area like building your own project and all, that is not actually we don't focus on. But yes, when we go inside our industries, there the hiding your data or making your program more secure is very, very important. Right? So you can, when you say encapsulation and abstraction, these two terms actually follow each other. Right? So over here you will be abstracting, that is first collecting your data, hiding it inside your abstract classes, and encapsulation means you will be using it further in different other classes if required. Okay, when you club all these things into a class, you say you are wrapping your data. Encapsulation and abstraction, they both are two things going in one go. Okay, in one way. They always come together.
They both help with security?
Yes. So with this, you can, like, you have written something in your header class, okay, your main class, that these are certain requirements of the user. He should be authorized person, okay, he should have his own password, he should have a legal ID, all these things, right? And in other similar classes, okay, you are trying to use that data, but the original data you don't want it to get manipulated. You will be just taking the properties or the variables name to like you have to search for the user, or you have to create a new query to extract certain things about the user, like these things, okay, you can do with the help of small classes present inside your project, but the main class will not get affected because of abstraction. Get it?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay, because like I'm not going in depth because these are our topics, different topics. As we will be working, right, we will be understanding these various things. So it is not about only one single statement like hiding data, but how are we going to implement it? That will be a bigger part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. So encapsulation is something that has a bigger part in it. Abstraction is something that it's only the definition, hiding data. Encapsulation means wrapping the data members and classes together. Member variables and your member functions together is termed as encapsulation. Right. These are just the definitions, but complete concept, how are we implementing it? That is something really different. Right. So I'll just mention the simplest definition.
Wait, what's member function?
Member function. Okay, right. I was thinking that you should ask me this thing. All those functions that you're creating, whether it is a main function or your user-defined functions. Member function, it's just to say that they are the part of your class. Okay, member of your class, like member variables or member functions, it's the same thing. Functions is something that you will be creating, like main is your function. That is also termed as your member function. You can simply say it as a function, or you can also say member function.
So it's just the regular function or the main function?
Just the regular function. Either your user-defined functions or your main function.
Okay.
Okay. Now, modularity. Modularity is when we are dividing our code into small blocks. That means dividing our whole program into small functions. Right? When we have complex problems, we try to divide them into some different parts and then try to execute it. Similarly, when we have large complex programs to execute, we divide them into smaller functions or a block of code or modules so that our task becomes easier. And based on the requirement, we will be calling those functions inside our program or inside our main function, and then we can get the result.
Okay, so modularity is pretty much dividing big functions into smaller functions or modules to make the program easier.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
when we talk in terms of inheritance, inheritance is something that is described from inheritance part. Like we are inheriting some of the properties from our grandparents, maybe from our
Yeah.
parents, right? So inheritance is just that concept. We are trying to implement our real world concept inside our Java program. So that means whenever we will try to use properties of a higher class inside us, we say we are inheriting the properties. Okay, so it
Okay.
means using properties of one class into the other.
So like you're taking something from one class and implementing that something
Into the
similar
other.
in a different class?
Yes.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is polymorphism? Polymorphism is you have one name, but okay, one entity, but you have different roles to play. Like there is a function, okay, you have named one function, but you are trying to use that function in different various aspects.
So you have one function that does many different things.
Yes, like name of the function will be same, okay, and that same name of the function is same, but is implementing something different. Like if a function name is add, okay, initially it is adding two numbers, then after some time you have created it again and you are adding three numbers, then
Okay.
you are adding four numbers. So it is like same name, okay, name of the function is same, but you are doing something different every time. Like we all as humans, we are one person, but we are doing multiple things. Like we are studying also, we are playing also. So this is what we are doing. So it means one function performing different tasks, or one operator performing different tasks.
Uh-huh.
So in simple terms,
Okay, so do these functions learn different things? Like, are they able to pick up different things? Like, they do many. So this function implements many things, but do they also learn other things?
it depends, because as per the user, but initially from the beginner's point of view, uh, we are not concerned about the functions learning anything. See, functions learning is a part of when you are coming across with your artificial intelligence part.
Yeah.
It is that point. But currently, as a beginner, we are not concerned with that part, because first we want to understand how functions work, how they are calling each other, and how they actually work, right? And functions
Yeah.
implementation part, it is if they have to learn anything, right? If machines have to learn something, so they are, that is really different from just polymorphism. Okay, so when
Mm-hmm.
yeah, is this okay? We can move ahead.
Yeah, this is okay.
Okay, so if I have to relate variables and member functions, there are three terms that we will be coming across. It is variables, functions or member functions, okay, and your objects. Now,
So these are the things we're learning right now, like as a beginner, right?
yes, okay, so what are these three things mainly? If we are talking in terms of real world entity, then what are these three things? Okay, so if I just keep this at the top. Okay, so what object is currently referring? Like what we say, Java is object-oriented programming language, and when we are saying that we are creating object of a class, what does it actually mean? What is object? Object is anything. I'll say in simple terms, object is like a person or an identity, a unique identity. If we are talking in terms of humans, okay, if we are relating our concept with humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can say a person or an entity, or even as a unique identity, right? So we say a person will have some of its behavior, it's characteristics. Okay, like a person will, its age, its name, right? And the person's name, age, maybe what he is doing, currently he is doing, right? Where he is living, and
So
what what all different things he can do. If we say what all different things he can do, it comes in the terms of functions. Okay, like what all things he is doing, like reading books, right? Like going to office, or maybe going to playground. So these are the things that your person is doing. So object is also in that terms. Object is your entity which will be performing some tasks, so that task is in terms of your functions.
okay.
Okay,
So like
yeah,
an object is basically a person, entity, or unique identity
yes,
that, and each object is different.
yes, definitely. Each object is different. It will has its own functions to do, right? And definitely if each person is different, it will have, the person will have its own different perspective, like how eyes color, right? Your DNA, right? Everything, your name of the person, roll number of the person, and then you have your citizenship ID, everything, right? Everything will be different
Mm-hmm.
for every person. So when we say the things that person has, that is your variables.
Mm-hmm.
So object
Wait,
have, yeah,
can you repeat that? Sorry. Like the part where you made the connection between objects and variables.
okay. Objects and variables. So objects will have their own name, right? They will have their like in your class. If I say if I say take an example of a classroom, okay, of a, like in your school classroom, okay. So each and every student will have its own name, right?
Yeah.
Its own perspective, its own different way of doing things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
object is termed as each and every student. So whichever student's name is there, that is the variable. Name is the variable for your object. That is the student. Student one has its name as Rahul, maybe. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the variable for object. Okay. And what he is doing, he is studying. So that is your function. What he
Mm-hmm.
is actually doing, that is your function.
So a variable is technically a placeholder for for a function, and a function is a task that is given to a variable.
Yes. You can say in simple terms attributes of your person or behavior. And function can be termed as your task, definitely. Right. So if we talk for an example about cars, if car is a vehicle, okay, vehicle we will talk about. So vehicle, what we say, it is a class. Now vehicle will have different objects in it, or different various things like cars, right? In cars there will be cars, then they can be motorcycle,
Mm-hmm.
motorcycles, then we can have airplane, then we
Mm-hmm.
have ships, right? So these are all your vehicles, right? So this is your main class, right? In this main class, what are the things will be there? Maybe size, right? This is the,
Yes.
yeah, and then wheels, right? It is there or not there. Then engine,
Yeah. So
and
wait.
yeah, let
So
me know.
the vehicle is technically the object, and then
No,
the car.
it is technically class. Like it is a composition
Oh,
of
okay.
all these things, right? Cars, motorcycles,
Yeah.
airplanes, and ships. It is your class. And
Yeah.
these things are your small classes, or we can say subclasses,
Yeah.
because cars will also have different varieties of cars. Motorcycles will have
Yeah.
different varieties and different companies of cycles. Okay,
Yeah.
airplanes will be of also different things. So we can say these
Uh,
are your smaller classes.
Yeah, so wait. So does that mean that, okay, so
Yeah.
say we're talking about for cars, Toyota, okay? So
Yeah.
like the Toyota company would be that would be an object?
Yes. And then what different variety it is selling to us? What is the
Yeah.
size, wheels, engines? Okay, that is your variables.
Well, yeah. So could we say the variable is okay, actually let's do Honda cuz I know a type of Honda. So
Okay.
cars and then the object is Honda and then the variable is like Honda Civic and a different variable could be the wheel size and then a different variable could be the amount the mass
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the
Yes.
function is what is this car known for? So like
Yeah.
the
It
car
may
is known
be,
for its
yeah, it may
safety.
be speed and what mileage it is giving to us, right? All
Yeah.
these are the tasks that your car will be performing. Yes, you get
Yeah.
it right. So this is
Hmm.
your variable which you can use inside all your subclasses, right?
Okay.
Inside all these classes. So this is your main class. And when you may say main class, we are adding all these details. We can say we can abstract these things inside one class, right?
Yeah.
Every class will have its own different perspective to look on the things, right? But there will be one major class which will be looking into it. So vehicle is that main class which has all its variables available to us. Then if functions, we can say speed, right? And
Yeah.
we can say distance it will be covering, right? All these things, etc. Okay, then what kind of protection it will be giving to us? So that is also a task. Like if any accident happens, then what different support we will be getting from the car? That is also your
Yeah.
function, right?
Hmm.
So these are your functions. Then this is your particular variables. This is your main class. And within this, using this main class, we can build all other classes, that is cars, motorcycles, airplanes, and ships, right?
Hmm.
And cars and all these four classes can use these things, that is your variables and your functions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to define again and again all these things inside these classes. We can just take up their name and use them in our class. So that is what these things will happen. Here we will be doing in Java. We will be relating all these concepts inside our class. So class is known as variables, functions, a combination of variables, functions, and objects,
Yeah.
right? So I'll just mention over here one more thing, that is class. And class we can say uh, in economy, no, economy not, environment, right? Class is like an environment, like human.
Yeah. So it's like a shelter, a place where the variables, functions, and objects can go.
Yes, yes, good, good, right, really good. So environment, or if we will talk in terms of animals also, so animals will be the main class, right?
Hmm.
And within animals you will have all different kinds of your animals, that is lion, tiger. So this is your object now. Okay, when we
Yeah.
are talking, so if we take example of animal class, so in this is your only a single class. Okay, there is no relation with any other classes away currently. Okay, so if we talk in terms of animal class, so objects will be all the animals in this world, right? So objects will be like lion, tiger, cat, then elephant, right? All these things,
Yeah.
whether domestic, whether uh, wild animals. Okay, so we can categorize that also, but currently we are looking into that. If we are talking in terms of animals, then tiger, cat, elephant, all these animals will be your objects.
Okay, so like this. So like class is animals, subclass is domestic or non-domestic.
Yes,
And then subclass would be tiger, cat, elephant. Um, And then variable.
Tiger, cat, elephants, these will be your objects, because you have now bifurcated animals into some different classes, like your
Oh yeah.
domestic, wild, and that is your other reptiles and all those things, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So then the variable would be the body part, so like the ears,
Yes.
and then the function would be what does the ear do? The task is for it to hear.
Yeah, like it can be also in terms of you're taking a right example, you're going on the right track. It can also be what different animals do actually. Like if it is a wild animal, it will go for hunting,
Yeah.
right? If it is a domestic animal, it will just stay at a place, no, whatever it gets, like grass, eating and all that part it will be. So variables will be definitely your body parts you can take. Then place they stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in functions, if we go ahead, we'll be saying these particular functions, what are they doing? Like it will be what they will be doing with all these things, like body parts, ear will be helpful for hearing, right? Then we can go ahead with place. Kind of place depends upon, also changes the kind of object it is, right? Because if it the tiger is living in a jungle, then it will be more.
Yeah.
But if it is living in a, I mean, more secure environment, like safari, geographic parks and all these, then it will be little like it will be in a comfortable state, right? Because there will be someone who will be taking care of that person. Oh, sorry, of that animal, right?
Well, yeah.
So what we say, what we get as this is like collection of all these things. We say it is a class. Then every class will have its own unique objects to refer, and
Mm-hmm.
each object will have its own functions. It will be performing its own function based on the object that we are sending, right? Based on the
Mm-hmm.
properties it holds, the functions will be performed.
Oh, so like for based on where it lives for animals, if they live in the jungle, their functions is like hunting, and if they live in the safari,
They
their
will be,
function is
yeah, they will get food,
entertainment.
yeah, they will get food automatically. They don't go for,
Mhm.
they don't need to go for hunting and all.
But their main goal is to entertain others in
Yes,
a way.
yes. So this is how, now if we have to compare our program, right?
Mhm.
So programs
Yeah.
also we build on these different things. Like if we are building a car also, so we need to identify what are its variables, what are the different attributes it will hold, then how it will be functioning, that is your functions part, right? So that is
Mhm.
based on these things only. First we all understand what actually the class needs to do, what kind of objects it will be holding, then what
Mhm.
variables it will be identifying, we need to identify. So when we club up all these things, we can easily relate our program to the sorry, to the real world entity, real users interface, how users are there, how many
UI.
responses you can get from the user, right? And how the things are working in your real in this world as reality, right?
Mhm.
So this is why we say object oriented programming, because each and everything that we will be thinking in, it is based on your object part, that is your entity part. Right? And in Java, we can implement without objects also our classes, right? We don't, when we are not creating any functions properly, so we can definitely without using objects we can run our program. Like when we say within main function, when we perform all our tasks, that is addition and subtraction. So that
Yeah.
is what we are doing within main function without creating an object. So Java is not a pure object-oriented programming language. It is a object-oriented programming language, but not pure, because here we can create our programs without creating objects. The
We
only
can.
pure programming language is Smalltalk. object-oriented programming language. The only object-oriented programming language. That is a small talk.
Small talk is a language?
Sorry?
Wait, small talk? Is that what you said?
Small talk. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And in this, and Java is not your pure object-oriented programming language. This is a question that is mainly asked, and there are multiple doubts in people's. One basic reason is that we can create our programs without creating the objects of the class.
Mm-hmm.
That is the main. I can say that is the main reason why Java is not pure object-oriented programming language. Right. So yeah.
Oh no, you can go. It's fine.
No. You have any doubt, or you want to say something? Let me know.
No, I don't have that. Yeah, so I was just gonna say something.
Okay. So for today's session, it was like we need to understand what object-oriented is, why we say it is, okay? And then the things will be, when we move ahead, we will be understanding how we will be building up our variables, functions. Okay, so you are using which particular IDE?
Something called IntelliJ.
Okay, IntelliJ. Okay, that is a different one. Okay, I'm using an Eclipse one. So I don't think so there will be an issue in that.
I don't think there will be.
Okay, so
What?
for creating the first program, okay, we will be going ahead with understanding main function and all. Okay, so we'll just write it today. We can continue it from like tomorrow with the understanding what public is, why we are writing public, why we are writing static.
Oh, yeah. So like public is like when you want it, you can use, anyone can see it, but private is like you can only use certain things and
No.
right?
Public is when we are trying to implement it outside. You can use it outside your class also. Okay. When you say you want to use particular thing outside your class, you can do that.
Oh.
Yeah. Public, private, and
like public is, so like public is like if you define a variable in the main class, you can also define it outside of the class.
Yes, you can use it outside your class also. So when you declare anything public, whether your functions or whether your variables, so that can be used outside your class, even outside your package also. But when you use certain things, when you use protected you can use outside your class, that is within your package, but not outside your package. Okay. So package is collection of classes that may be related to each other or that may not be related to each other. Okay. So package is nothing like it has to do nothing with your classes. Okay. But yes, it is a collection of your classes which may be related to each other or which have relations with each other. Okay? So and we also say that for private, right? When we think about private, if we declare something as private, that won't be accessible even outside your class. So that is a purely you are saying that it is restricted only from within your class. You cannot use it outside your class. Protected will give you the liberty. Okay, you can go ahead. You can use it. It's outside your class within your package, but not outside the package. Like if you have multiple packages available, so you can use it only inside your package. And when you go for public, it can be used wherever you want. It is within one package or outside that package, wherever you want. Okay. So just close all these things.
So is static like something in a class that isn't like
Static
so?
says that you will be create that whenever you are declaring something as a static, okay, it means it will allocate its memory automatically when you are running your program. The first memory that gets allocated is for static variables or member functions. It is within your heap, okay, but when you say, if you're not mentioning anything in static, so wherever you are using your running your program, okay, running a program, so it will not get its own memory. But when you declare
So
something as static, it will get its own memory space. That is in your
okay.
it will get its own memory space, separate memory. Okay, and
Mhm.
then what is void? Void is a data type that says your main method will not return anything. That means when we have different data types, right? Int, string, then string is a class, but we treat it sometimes. We have that assumption that string is also our data type, but it is a class. Okay, then your double, boolean, all these things are your data types. So
Oh.
if you use any certain data type with your main function or any function, that means that particular type of data should be returned by your function.
So void is
Void is a
um
default type of it has a default data type that says nothing will be returned by your main function or any other function. That means we won't be using this statement return. Oh, sorry. Public, static, void, and main. Right. And then also we have something called a string arg.
oh yeah, that's what I
Right. These are the things. So public is your access specifier wherever we can use it. Static tells where the memory will when memory will be allocated. So once you compile a program and click on run button, automatically the first place or the memory that gets allocated is for all for your static members.
uh-huh.
Okay. Then void is your data type. It is termed as your default data type. That means there is no return statement for your
Mhm.
function. It won't return 0, it won't return alphabet or a particular value. Okay, nothing to be returned. Then main.
Mhm.
Main is a predefined name given to your function. It is in your Java libraries that if you don't use main, if you try to change anything in this main function declaration, it will be not acceptable. Like it will execute, but yes, the main it will not read it as the original main function that is present inside your main in your Java libraries. If you remove public, either if you remove static or you make main m as capital or n as capital, then too it will not read it. It
Okay.
will say once you will run, it will say main function not found. Like if you do this in your CMD, right? You create in your notepad and you do this particular thing in your CMD, this they will during your runtime it will say main function not found.
Okay.
Okay, that will do that. And then string arg. This is an array that we are creating every time. This is actually, I can say, this is the full declaration of your main function.
Uh-huh.
If you miss any of these things, your main function will not be identified. Then if what is a string arg is, like during compile time, if a user is entering some value, okay, if a user is requesting something when he is trying to open up a software, right, then for that time you need to have some certain variable to store it. Okay, so by
Mm.
default anything the user will be clicking on or entering, that will be in the format of string, that is your alphabetical or double inverted quotes within that. Either he is
Mhm.
entering integers or float numbers or characters, it will be treated as a string. So it is an array that we are creating. That will be created along with your main function. And if anything user passes on command line argument, okay, during your compile time, then it will get stored in this arg, in this particular array.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what main function actually is. If you have to mention anything, you will mention this within your block of code. Anything, this will come over here inside your block of code. This will be your body of your main function.
Yeah.
So in this you can mention, if you are saying that I don't want to create an object of the class, so definitely all these things like variables will come inside your main function. So there will not be any other function if you are saying I don't want to create any object. You can use functions, okay, you can create functions outside your main function, but if you have to access those functions, then definitely you need to create object. Okay, until and unless they are said it is static. If you mention your user defined functions also static, then you can automatically call them, use it, that is not a problem. But if it is not done, you need to call them inside your main function. Only then they will get executed. So that means with the help of object, only you will be able to access your user defined functions. So an object will refer to its function. And within those functions, we can use whichever variable is required to perform the particular task.
Yeah.
I get it? That how these four things are related with each other.
Oh yeah, you can go.
Yeah. So this is class, and over here you will be mentioning your class name. Class C will be small. Okay. It is a keyword again. And this is your like if I mention class name as
the name of the class, right?
Yeah, name of the class. Over here you can mention as per your requirement name of the class, and definitely you have to save your file with the name of your class file, class name. Okay, so if it is first, then you will save first.java. That is your source file or your source code that you're creating.
Oh yeah. So
right?
that's the name of the program.
Yeah, that is the name of the program, whatever you will be writing for your class name. And we need to be very specific while creating the class name, because that will be the main identity that how we which particular class is performing what, to identify what task your class is going to perform. Okay. Like it is like animals. Like animals is your class, so it should be very specific that okay, only in this class we will be only dealing with animals. Right, so that needs to be very specific. And as for the rule of Java, it's not compulsory, but yes, we can say it is a rule that the first letter of your class should be capital. But we can say a convention. So we can easily identify that it is your class. Okay. And then for variables, it should start with small letters. So if it is a variable, then variables, first it will be a data type that should come, like, and then your variable name. This is the syntax. Right? This is called as a syntax for this. And
But if you go on Java and you just write like, is like some statement, there's a shortcut to write it, and then you get a drop down menu. You could, like, for example, if you want to do a print statement, you can do system.out.print. But if you just print SOUT, then it just print for you. It just prints the print statement.
Yeah, it will use your but that should be there inside your main function. You cannot do it outside it. It will give you an exception.
Yeah.
That will be inside your main function. So it's just like you can declare your variables over here also outside your main function, within your class, but outside your main function. You can also do it over here inside your main function. Whatever functionality you want, it will be present inside your main function. Okay, for time being thinking that we are not going to create an object. Okay, time being thinking that we are not going to create any object for the class, so we will be using main function to perform all the tasks, that is addition, subtraction, enter the user's name, and run your program, print something on the screen. Everything we will be doing it within our main function. Once we are good with main function understanding, right, we can go ahead with implementing all those tasks using modular approach, that is using functions.
Well, I've implemented a program before, like a mortgage calculator program, where you print like a principal interest rate and then annual interest rate and then like that.
Okay. So it might be, so you have done it within your main function only, or it is like you created different functions for that?
No, it's in my it's in public class main and then public static void main.
Okay, that means within your main function, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that we are working without objects.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that for current time we have not created any object. You might have not written like this anything, like class name will be like first, right, and then your obj equals to new first, and then something like this. Did you wrote anything like this?
I've never like called the class. I don't think I've ever like called.
So this is what we are doing, is creating an object. We'll go ahead step by step. We should not rush actually what I am planning. Okay, currently just focusing that we are not going to use objects, and we will be trying to implement the basic logics. If once we are good with the basic logics, implementing it in the main function, then definitely we just need to use those logic to create the function, user defined function, and then we can implement it. Okay?
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So what we will be doing tomorrow, we will be implementing the simple program. Okay, like adding and displaying your first statement and all these things.
Yeah.
We'll work with that. So I don't need to set up any IDE for you currently. No software setting up.
No.
Okay, so we are good with this. I'll share you this complete recording also and your notes for the today. Okay. So your email ID, can just ping me.
My email? Well, I don't have a Gmail, but only my dad does.
Okay, so your dad's. Okay, I have it. Yeah, that Hotmail one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. We'll do that on that.
You don't need to send it to me because I like for me I enjoy writing the notes, not because like it's fun to write, but I feel like I get a better understanding when I write it. So sometimes I can also write my notes.
Yeah, you can write it just for your reference, like if you forgot anything. So I always do that. So I will be sharing it. If you require, you can use it. Okay, and you can open it and you can write your notes. And also you can go through with the recording also. If you want, you want to understand a certain topic, I will be sharing this recording for this session, like I had done that day also, right? So you can just go ahead with that recording. If you find it anything to be like you're not able to understand while going through the notes, you can just go ahead with recording.
Yeah.
Okay. So tomorrow same time. Okay. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so tomorrow same time. Easy.
Okay.
Bye.
Sorry for coming.
No,
sorry
that's
for
okay.
coming late.
That's okay. No problem. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
You too.
Sure.